The silent plea. The crystalline spires of Meridia caught the light of their binary suns, casting rainbow fractals across the planet's surface. For millennia, the Meridians had lived in harmony with their world, their crystalline bodies resonating with the very core of their planet. They were a species of peace and discovery, their cities grown rather than built, rising from the ground like geometric gardens of light and thought. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Arcturus, watching the holographic display with a mixture of awe and horror. The Meridian distress signal had reached them 3 days ago, a pulse of pure crystalline energy that cut through normal communication channels like a knife through silk. Most species would have missed it entirely. Humanity, still new to the galactic stage, still curious enough to investigate anything unusual, had not. "Status report," she commanded, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching planet. Lieutenant Rivera, her sensor officer, spoke without looking up from his station. "Multiple energy signatures detected in orbit, Captain. They match known void collective configurations. I'm counting at least 30 harvester ships." He paused, his voice dropping. "They're already beginning extraction procedures." Chen's jaw tightened. The void collective, a species that had evolved beyond organic form into something closer to living darkness. They consumed technology and energy the way other species consumed food, and they had a particular appetite for crystalline civilizations. "Any response from the Galactic Assembly?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Communications Officer Patel shook her head, her expression grim. "They're maintaining their position of non-interference, Captain. The official response states that the internal affairs of non-member species fall outside Assembly jurisdiction." Patel's voice carried the same disgust Chen felt. The Meridians hadn't joined the Assembly because they believed in universal cooperation rather than political alliances. Now that choice would cost them everything. Chen watched as another harvester ship descended toward the surface, its obsidian hull seeming to absorb the light around it. The Arcturus was an exploration vessel, not a warship. They had basic defensive capabilities, but nothing that could stand against the Void Collective's superior technology. The logical choice, the safe choice, would be to document the incident and retreat. "Open a channel to Earth Command," Chen ordered, her decision made. Humanity might be young in galactic terms, might lack the advanced technology of older species, but they had never been ones to stand by while others suffered, and begin full sensor sweeps of the collective's ships. "I want to know every weakness, every vulnerability." The bridge crew worked in focused silence as Chen recorded her message to command. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the ESS Arcturus. We've encountered a Level 1 emergency in the Meridian system. The Void Collective is harvesting a peaceful crystalline species while the Assembly turns a blind eye. I am requesting immediate reinforcement and declaring this a humanitarian crisis under Article 7 of the Earth Space Charter." She paused, knowing her next words would be controversial. "I am also formally requesting implementation of the Phoenix Protocol." The Phoenix Protocol was Earth's most closely guarded technological breakthrough, a theoretical defense system that could turn a ship's hull into a regenerative energy matrix. It had never been tested in combat. The Meridians are a species of pure energy and crystal, living mathematics given form. Their destruction would be more than a tragedy. It would be the loss of a perspective on existence that we might never see again. Chen's voice grew stronger. "Humanity has always stood for the defense of the defenseless. I suggest we make that more than just words." As she ended the transmission, her tactical officer, Commander Jackson, approached with a preliminary analysis. "Their ships are powerful, Captain, but they have patterns. They're methodical, predictable. They've never faced human unpredictability." Chen nodded, a plan already forming. "How long until the first harvester reaches the main Meridian city?" 37 minutes at current speed. Then we have 36 minutes to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just another species to be ignored." Chen turned to address her entire bridge crew. "I won't order anyone to stay. What we're about to do goes against Assembly directives. There will be consequences. One by one, her crew straightened at their stations. No one moved toward the exits. Lieutenant Rivera spoke for all of them. "We're with you, Captain." Chen allowed herself a small smile. This was humanity at its core, not the most advanced, not the strongest, but unwilling to stand by while others suffered. "Signal the Meridians," she ordered. "Tell them help is coming. And prepare for combat maneuvers." The Arcturus might be outgunned, but they had something the Void Collective couldn't understand: human ingenuity and the burning desire to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. As her ship moved to intercept the harvesters, Chen thought of Earth's history, of all the times humanity had faced overwhelming odds and found a way to prevail. They would need that same spirit now, as they prepared to stand against the darkness that threatened to consume a civilization of light. The Meridians would not face extinction alone. Humanity had arrived, and with them, hope. Against all odds, Earth's response came faster than anyone expected. Within hours of Captain Chen's transmission, the orbital shipyards above Earth erupted with activity. The Phoenix Protocol, humanity's closely guarded secret, was about to see its first real combat deployment. Admiral Marcus Torres stood in Earth Command's Strategic Operations Center, watching as dozens of ships underwent emergency modifications. "How many vessels can we refit in the next 12 hours?" he asked, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. 17 ships are ready for immediate deployment," Dr. Emily Zhang responded, her hands moving rapidly over the control interface. As the lead developer of the Phoenix Protocol, she had fought for years to prove her theories about adaptive energy matrices. "But Admiral, you need to understand. This technology has never been tested in actual combat conditions." Torres nodded grimly. "The Meridians don't have time for more testing. The Void Collective is harvesting their cities as we speak." He turned to face the assembled fleet commanders. "The Arcturus is holding position, doing what they can to slow down the harvesters. But they need reinforcements, and they need them now." The Phoenix Protocol was humanity's answer to their technological disadvantages. Unable to match the raw power of advanced alien weapons, Dr. Zhang had instead developed a system that could turn any attack against itself. The ship's hulls would become living matrices of energy, absorbing and redirecting hostile fire. In theory, the more powerful the enemy's weapons, the stronger the defense would become. As the emergency fleet prepared for departure, the Arcturus was fighting a desperate delaying action in the Meridian system. Captain Chen had positioned her ship between the harvesters and the largest Meridian city, using every trick in the book to buy time. The Void Collective's ships were powerful but predictable, and the humans exploited this weakness ruthlessly. "New contact." Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through the tension on the Arcturus's bridge. "Reading multiple quantum signatures. It's the Void Collective's main fleet. They're responding to our interference." Chen gripped her command chair. They had known this was coming, but the reality was still chilling. The main fleet of the Void Collective was said to be invincible, a force of living darkness that consumed everything in its path. Status of the Meridian evacuation. 60% of the Crystal Core population has been moved to the underground sanctuaries, Commander Jackson reported. "But Captain, they're refusing to abandon their primary consciousness matrix. They say it's the heart of their civilization, their combined knowledge of countless generations." Chen understood. The Meridians weren't just trying to survive. They were trying to preserve who they were as a species. Their crystal matrix was their history, their art, their very identity. Losing it would mean surviving as shadows of themselves. On Earth, the emergency fleet was finally ready. 17 ships, each now equipped with the experimental Phoenix Protocol, prepared to jump to the Meridian system. Admiral Torres addressed the fleet from his flagship, the ESS Prometheus. "You all know the stakes," he began, his voice carrying to every ship. "The Galactic Assembly has chosen to look the other way while an entire civilization faces extinction. They say it's not their problem. They say the Meridians should have joined their political games if they wanted protection." He paused, letting his words sink in. But humanity has always been different. Throughout our history, we've stood up to bullies and tyrants, not because it was easy, but because it was right. The Void Collective thinks their superior technology makes them invincible. Today, we prove them wrong. The fleet jumped in perfect synchronization, tearing holes in space-time as they rushed to the aid of their beleaguered companions. When they emerged in the Meridian system, they found a scene of chaos. The Arcturus was conducting a brilliant but desperate defense, using the crystal formations of the planet to scatter their sensor profile, while launching precision strikes at the harvester ship's weak points. But now the Void Collective's main fleet had arrived, a vast armada of darkness that seemed to devour the starlight itself. Their ships were organic and geometric at the same time, like mathematical nightmares given form. They moved with perfect coordination, their weapons capable of reducing planets to ash. Admiral Torres opened a channel to all ships. Deploy the Phoenix Protocol. Remember your training. Let them hit us. Every attack makes us stronger. He switched to a private channel to the Arcturus. Captain Chen, help is here. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do. As the human fleet moved to engage the Void Collective, the Meridian crystals began to pulse with a strange light. They had witnessed something they had never seen before, a younger species willingly facing destruction to protect others. The crystal matrices hummed with new frequencies, reaching out to connect with the human ships in ways no one had predicted. The battle for Meridia was about to begin, and with it, perhaps the future of galactic civilization itself. Humanity had chosen its path, not one of political calculation or cold logic, but of moral courage and determined resistance. Against the darkness that threatened to consume all light, they would stand and fight. The innovation of desperation. No one expected what happened when the Phoenix Protocol first activated in combat. As the Void Collective's energy weapons struck the human ships, the experimental defense systems didn't just absorb the attacks. They resonated with the nearby Meridian crystals, creating a harmonic frequency that rippled through space itself. Dr. Emily Zhang, watching the sensor data from the Prometheus, leaned forward in amazement. Admiral Torres, are you seeing this? The Meridian crystal matrices are synchronizing with our defense systems. The Phoenix Protocol's energy matrices were pulsing in perfect harmony with the crystalline structures of the Meridian cities, creating interference patterns that disrupted the Void Collective's targeting systems. It was in completely unplanned synergy, human ingenuity accidentally tapping into the fundamental properties of Meridian physics. On the Arcturus, Captain Chen watched as streams of crystalline energy flowed between the human ships, forming a defensive network that grew stronger with each enemy attack. Status report on the Phoenix systems, she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos of battle. The energy absorption rates are off the charts, Captain, Lieutenant Rivera reported, his fingers flying over his console. Each hit from their weapons is strengthening our shields exponentially. But there's more. The Meridians are somehow amplifying the effect. They're using their entire crystalline network as a resonance chamber. The Void Collective's ships paused their advance, their perfect geometric formations showing the first signs of uncertainty. Their weapons, designed to harvest and consume energy, were now feeding a defense system that grew stronger with each attack. It was a scenario their collective consciousness had never encountered. Deep within the crystal core of the main Meridian city, something unprecedented was occurring. The Meridians, typically a species of pure thought and energy, were adapting their very nature to interface with human technology. Their consciousness matrix, containing millions of years of accumulated knowledge, began transmitting tactical data directly to the human fleet. Captain, we're receiving. I'm not sure how to describe it, Communications Officer Paddle reported, her eyes wide. The Meridians are sharing their understanding of quantum harmonics with us. They're showing us how to tune the Phoenix Protocol to their crystal frequencies. Admiral Torres, coordinating the fleet's movements, recognized the opportunity. All ships, integrate the Meridian data into your defense matrices. Let's show the collective what happens when humanity and Meridians work together. The human fleet began moving in new patterns, their ship's energy fields resonating with the crystal structures of Meridia itself. Each vessel became a node in a vast, improvised network of light and energy. The Void Collective's attacks, designed to harvest and consume, instead fed into this growing web of power. Dr. Zhang, analyzing the data in real time, could hardly believe what she was seeing. The Phoenix Protocol isn't just defending anymore, it's evolving. The Meridian influence is pushing it far beyond our original specifications. We're not just absorbing their attacks, we're redirecting them. The first counterattack took everyone by surprise. A Void Collective harvester, pressing its assault against the Arcturus, suddenly found its energy weapons reflected back at it, amplified by the combined power of human technology and Meridian crystals. The dark ship's hull cracked, lines of brilliant light spreading across its surface before it exploded in a cascade of quantum energy. "How did you do that?" Admiral Torres demanded, watching the tactical display in amazement. Captain Chen's voice was filled with wonder. "It wasn't just us, Admiral. The Meridians showed us how to use their crystal harmonics to create constructive interference patterns. We're turning the Collective's own energy against them." The battle shifted. The Void Collective's perfect formations began to break apart as their ships tried to adapt to this unexpected development. Their greatest strength, their ability to harvest and consume energy, had become a vulnerability. Every attack they launched strengthened the human Meridian defense network. But the Collective was far from defeated. Their main fleet regrouped, their ships combining into larger, more powerful configurations. They began targeting the crystal formations themselves, trying to disrupt the harmonic network that had turned the tide. "They're adapting," Commander Jackson warned from his tactical station on the Arcturus. "These new formations, they're trying to create destructive interference patterns. If they succeed in disrupting the crystal harmonics—" "They won't," Chen interrupted, her jaw set with determination. "Lieutenant Rivera, signal all ships. Execute Maneuver Omega-7. Let's show them that humans aren't the only ones who can adapt." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each taking position near major crystal formations. The Phoenix Protocol's energy matrices pulsed with new patterns as the Meridians adjusted their quantum harmonics. Together, they had created something entirely new, a defense system that learned and evolved in real time. As the battle raged on, news of the conflict began spreading through the galaxy. Other species watched in amazement as humanity, one of the youngest spacefaring races, stood alongside the Meridians against the dreaded Void Collective. More importantly, they watched as human adaptability combined with Meridian wisdom to create something neither species could have achieved alone. The innovation of desperation had given birth to something unprecedented, a true symbiosis of human and Meridian capabilities. But the Void Collective was far from finished, and their next attack would test this newfound alliance to its absolute limits. Echoes of courage. The news of humanity's stand against the Void Collective spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. In the chambers of the Galactic Assembly, younger species watched the battlefields with growing amazement, while the elder races shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The humans, dismissed for so long as primitive newcomers, were achieving what many had thought impossible. On the edges of the Meridian system, observation ships from various species gathered to witness the unprecedented battle. Among them was the Starweaver, a vessel belonging to the Nexari, one of the youngest spacefaring races after humanity. Captain Zara Ven, her iridescent scales reflecting the distant flashes of combat, watched with growing conviction. The Assembly elders were wrong, she transmitted to her homeworld. The humans aren't primitive, they're transformative. They've done more than fight the Collective. They've shown us all what courage looks like. The battle had entered its most crucial phase. The Void Collective, stung by their initial defeats, had revealed their true purpose. Their ships began emitting quantum resonance waves that threatened to shatter the Meridian crystal matrices at their fundamental level. They're not just trying to harvest the Meridians, Dr. John realized, her voice shaking as she analyzed the data aboard the Prometheus. They're trying to erase their entire way of existence. The collective wants to ensure no crystalline civilization can ever challenge them again. Admiral Torres watched as the dark ships moved into a new formation, their hulls rippling with contained energy. All ships, defensive positions. Protect those crystal matrices at all costs. But even as he gave the order, he knew their forces were stretched thin. The Phoenix Protocol was working beyond expectations, but the human fleet was taking damage. The Arcturus, still at the forefront of the battle, had lost portions of its hull to the collective's attacks. Captain Chen stood on her damaged bridge, watching as her crew fought to maintain the harmonic defenses. "We need to buy more time," she muttered. Then louder, "Lieutenant Rivera, what's the status of the Meridian consciousness transfer?" 87% complete, Captain. Their primary matrix is almost fully backed up to the protected sanctuaries, but he hesitated. The final transfer requires all their remaining power. They'll be completely vulnerable. Before Chen could respond, a new voice cut through the command channel. "Captain Ven of the Nexari vessel Starweaver, perhaps not completely vulnerable, humans. We've been studying your tactics, analyzing your defense patterns. The Nexari may be young, but we know right from wrong. We're moving to support your position." The sleek Nexari ship glided into formation alongside the human fleet, its advanced sensors already adapting to synchronize with the Phoenix Protocol. Other ships began moving as well, vessels from the Ketheri Confederation, the Solarian Compact, and more, young species who had watched and learned from humanity's example. "The Assembly may choose inaction," Ben transmitted, "but we choose to stand with those who fight for justice. The humans have shown us that age and technology mean nothing compared to courage and moral clarity." The Void Collective responded to this new development with increased fury. Their ships began combining into massive geometric forms, creating weapons that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. But as they did, something unexpected happened deep within the crystal cities of Meridia. The Meridian consciousness, nearly finished transferring their essential matrix to safety, made a decision. Instead of completely retreating to their sanctuaries, they'd reached out through their crystal networks to every ship in the defensive fleet, human, Nexari, and all others who had joined the battle. "They're sharing their quantum harmonics knowledge with everyone," Dr. Zhang reported in awe. "They're teaching all of us how to synchronize with their crystal frequencies. The defense network, it's growing exponentially." The Phoenix Protocol, already revolutionary, became something more as ships from multiple species integrated their unique technologies with its adaptive matrix. The Nexari's sensor arrays enhanced its prediction capabilities. The Ketheri's phase shift drives added new layers of maneuverability. Each species contributed something unique, creating a defense that was greater than the sum of its parts. Captain Chen watched as the combined fleet moved with newfound coordination. The collective thought they could isolate and destroy those who were different, she said, her voice carrying to all ships. "Instead, they united us. Every species here is proof that the galaxy is stronger when we stand together." The Void Collective's attacks began to falter as they faced this unprecedented alliance. Their perfect geometries, designed to consume and destroy, couldn't adapt to the chaotic creativity of multiple species working in harmony. For the first time in their ancient history, the collective faced an enemy they couldn't simply overwhelm and absorb. But victory was far from certain. The combined fleet was holding the line, protecting the Meridian crystals and their vital consciousness backup. But the collective still had one final devastating weapon to unleash. As their ships began to merge into a single massive form, Admiral Torres realized the true battle was about to begin. "All ships, prepare for emergency maneuvers," he ordered. "Whatever they're building, whatever they're planning, we face it together. Humanity started this fight to protect the Meridians, but now we fight for something even greater, the right of all species to choose their own path, freed from tyranny and fear." The final phase of the battle was about to begin, and its outcome would reshape the galaxy's understanding of power, courage, and the true meaning of civilization. Light in the darkness. The Void Collective's final form was a sight that would haunt witnesses for generations to come. Their combined ships formed a vast geometric nightmare that seemed to bend reality around itself, a living void that threatened to consume everything in its path. As it approached the combined fleet, space itself appeared to warp and darken. "By all the stars," Captain Venn whispered from the bridge of the Starweaver. The Nexari vessel's sensors were struggling to even process what they were seeing. The collective had become something that defied conventional physics, a singularity of darkness that could devour light itself. Admiral Torres watched from the Prometheus as the massive entity approached. "Dr. Zhang, what exactly are we looking at?" The scientist's voice was tense as she analyzed the readings. "They've created some kind of quantum entropy engine. They're not just trying to destroy the Meridians anymore. They're trying to erase the very possibility of crystalline life from this region of space. If they succeed, nothing like the Meridians could ever evolve here again." On the Arcturus, Captain Chen made a decision. "All ships, form up on our position. We're going to attempt something that's either brilliant or suicidal." She turned to her tactical officer. "Commander Jackson, remember that theory you had about using the Phoenix Protocol to create constructive interference patterns?" Jackson's eyes widened. "Captain, that was just a theoretical model. The energy requirements would be exactly what we have right now." Chen interrupted, gesturing to the fleet of Allied ships around them. "Every vessel here has integrated some aspect of Meridian crystal harmonics. Together, we're the largest quantum resonance network ever created." The plan spread quickly through the fleet. Each ship would channel its energy through the Phoenix Protocol, creating a synchronized pulse that would match the collective's entropy field. But in reverse, it was the kind of desperate strategy that characterized human thinking. If you can't overpower your enemy, change the rules of the fight entirely. "This is either going to save us all or tear a hole in space-time," Dr. Zhang noted as she helped coordinate the energy synchronization. "But then, that's humanity for you, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible." The Void Collective's massive form continued its advance, reality distorting around it. But now the combined fleet was ready. Human ships formed the core of their formation, their Phoenix protocols pulsing with accumulated energy. Around them, Nexari vessels added their sensor precision, while Kethari ships contributed their phase shift harmonics. Each species added their own unique signature to the growing resonance. And at the heart of it all, the remaining Meridian crystals hummed with power, their ancient knowledge guiding the unprecedented collaboration. They had witnessed the birth of something new, not just an alliance, but a true synthesis of different species' strengths. "All ships, synchronize your Phoenix protocols," Chen commanded. "Route all power through the crystal harmonic network. We're going to show the collective what happens when you try to erase diversity from the galaxy." The moment of truth arrived as the collective's entropy wave met the combined fleet's quantum resonance pulse. For a terrifying instant, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the two forces collided, and reality exploded into light. The collective's darkness met a wall of pure crystalline energy, amplified by human ingenuity and strengthened by the unique contributions of every allied species. Where the collective sought to impose entropy and uniformity, they found themselves facing the combined creative power of multiple civilizations working in harmony. "The resonance cascade is working," Dr. Zhang shouted over the command channel. "Their entropy field is collapsing in on itself. The collective can't maintain their combined form against this level of quantum interference." The massive void began to fracture, lines of light breaking through its perfect geometric surface. The collective had never encountered anything like this. Their strategy of consuming and absorbing energy was being turned against them by the very diversity they had sought to destroy. Captain Chen watched from her bridge as the battle reached its climax. "Push forward. Don't let up." The combined fleet moved as one, their synchronized energy pulse driving deeper into the collective's weakening form. The void that had seemed invincible began to unravel, its component ships breaking apart as their quantum cohesion failed. The victory, when it came, was total. The Void Collective's remaining ships fled in disarray, their perfect unity shattered by the power of multiple species working together. As the darkness retreated, the crystalline spires of Meridia caught the light of their binary suns once again, but now they shone with new colors, reflections of the various species that had come together to defend them. In the aftermath, as ships began damage assessment and repair operations, Captain Venn of the Nexari transmitted an open message to the fleet. The assembly thought power came from age and technological advancement. The humans showed us it comes from courage, creativity, and the willingness to stand together against injustice. The impact of the battle spread quickly through the galaxy. The Galactic Assembly, faced with undeniable evidence of their moral failure, began serious reforms. Younger species gained new prominence, their voices strengthened by their actions rather than their age. The Meridians, their civilization saved, began sharing their knowledge more openly, but now as equals rather than simply observers. And humanity. They had done more than win a battle. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one where species worked together, where diversity was strength, and where moral courage mattered more than technological superiority. As Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the Arcturus, watching repair crews from a dozen species working together to rebuild Meridia's damaged crystal spires, she smiled. The galaxy had changed, and while there would always be new challenges, they would face them together. Light had triumphed over darkness, not through overwhelming power, but through the combined brilliance of different species choosing to stand together. It was a lesson the galaxy would not soon forget.